Hello everybody, Mike Tannic back here with more Hearts of Iron 4, the Great War mods, and we are continuing on as the Ottoman Empire. So, I have taken the liberty of skipping ahead by a few months, and the reason for that is because nothing interesting was going to happen, and I could probably try to narrate paint drawing, but I'm not going to do that for you guys because everybody knows how Hearts of Iron 4 can be during periods where there is no action. But I will take you through and show you the few things that have changed. So let's get the clock ticking here. First, we have our very first armored car division. Where are you, you sweet thing? Right there. That's our guy. Now, they are not very powerful. First of all, I'm going to put him into the training army and get his training up. But if you have a look here, I will show you they are still only 10 combat width. And that is because we don't have the capacity to put them up to 20 yet. We are coming along pretty well in that department. We are building, well, since you guys last watched, 2 more military factories were completed. And I will show you, basically, they were both put into support equipment and the horse-drawn vehicles, because that's what we're lacking the most of right now. Now, as soon as our support equipment catches up, we are going to be able to redistribute a pretty good number of these factories to more interesting things, such as our early Fighter 1, which we have 12 of so far. The remainder of our Air Force, I will show you, is right here. We have 55 planes, and they have been training, and they are now as far experienced as they can get for training, which gives us a nice but small buff, +4 air attack and +6 agility. And speaking of air, we have our first air doctrine completed, and that gave us an additional 5% agility and 5% air superiority. Now, since we are still restricted to 3 research slots, I'm going to have a look around because we are now, again, in 1914, and some of the earlier 1914 tier techs have opened up, such as the support companies, which we don't necessarily need yet. But those, to me, support companies are very important to keep up to date. Armor, we gotta wait another 2 years, or at least, actually, in about half a year. So in 1915, we can do the tank prototype, basically in the very early stages of World War I, or we could get a jump on it now and dominate, although that would not be very historically accurate. A lot of things about this playthrough have not been historically accurate, if we're being honest with ourselves. Land Doctrine is already researching. That is an important one. Now, 1914. It's May 1914, and this is the one. These ships, mostly all of them, 1914 and earlier, are bugged, so that the research only takes 1 day. Now, what am I most likely to build here? Were we to go with the Naval? Well, I'll show you what we're building right now. We're working on an armored cruiser and destroyers. We want to fill out our destroyers first. And frankly, I just wanted to have a capital ship, so I went with the what the vanilla equivalent to a heavy cruiser is, and that is an armored cruiser. At least to start, but we could, right here, do the Dreadnought 3, since it is 1914, which I think I will take the liberty of doing. Still kind of cheaty, but I did wait until well into 1914, so we now instantly have that technology. So, I think everything after that, yeah. So, the Dreadnought 4 actually does take time to research, and of course we're about 4 years too early for that. Same goes for the actual, for when the dreadnoughts become heavy cruisers. We could do the light cruiser as well, But I will wait for a different tech to finish before we do that. So we're not just knocking out, 2 ships at once. Now, again, as far as the engineering goes, now that we do or are about to start having armored variants, which I think armored cars count as, then this would actually be beneficial to us, the engineering drawing. However, I'm really tempted to get this heavy industry, even though we're eating a year and a half of penalty on that. It's probably not a good idea just yet. So sadly, we're going to leave that. I was about to do it, guys. I was so close to doing it. Ugh. God. Okay. I think it's time for engineering drawing, because then again, that opens up the door to mechanical computing, which will improve our research speed. So that is what we are going to do at the moment. I'm just trying to think ahead on some of these techs. Some of them are going to be for what can we use immediately versus what are we going to need in the mid to near future. So we're not scrambling by the time that, we get tanks and all of a sudden our tanks are terrible because we did not research any of the tech. So that's out of the way. So the long story short is our Air Force is improving. Now we do have these fighters here. Yeah, here. And we do only have 2 factories dedicated to it. So that is going to just inch along slowly. And I'm probably going to add more to that. The next factory I'm probably going to put into fighters, because that is something I want to be dominant in. Now, at this time periods in this mod, I don't know what our opponents are going to have for air power. The Americans might have some. The UK might have plenty of air power, actually. But as you can see, all of our focus on air power is now paying off, because we now have Airfield Expansion 2 for a national focus, which gives us some airfields, which I am thrilled about. So, let's see. So that takes us all the way down to here. Now we have to wait until 1915 to go any further down this tree, which is a shame, because after we finish these 4 focuses, here comes our extra research slots. And we cannot actually start doing that one until 1916. So I would like to continue on with the aviation effort. That's going to give us a 15% boost for air doctrine, and that is something I want, since we did already get the first one done. Now, as far as units go, the only thing you guys missed in the months that I skipped ahead was that I did man Crete. For all the reasons I stated before, is that it's a very weak point, but also is central, almost dead center in our territory, which opens up all of this for easy naval invasions if we don't control it. And here we go, another free military factory. So let's crank up our air power here. Now, that efficiency in this mod, it just moves glacial, kind of like the combat, but what can you do? All right, now we are actually critically short on steel, so we are going to have to give up yet another factory. Wait, no, I don't want to do that. I only want 1 factory. And, if things change, we can actually, trade less steel, because, we are going to move production around, and that is going to change our needs significantly. But, man, that eats up a lot of aluminum. What else is using aluminum here? That's right, support equipment. So that's why we're kind of far behind on that. We're missing 2 aluminum, but right now having the factory is way more important to us. So, speaking of which, getting into what you missed with production. Again, you got the 2 military factories done. And next we're going to focus, just for my own peace of mind, on getting these, you can see them getting highlighted here. This defensive line here, they're all getting fortifications, at least level 1. That is a priority for me, so I can breathe a little bit easier over on this front as we approach the war. So, what comes next? What comes next is that I was tipped off, and this also kind of feels a little cheaty. I did not know that the Romanians won't join the war until at least 1916, which means that I don't really need to have this entire border manned the way it is. Now, obviously, in the game, things can change. You know, the AI can take different routes in what they do. But for the purposes of making interesting gameplay and going forward with it, in other words, forward with our campaign, I am going to remove some of these divisions. And I'm going to leave the cavalry division, but I want to relocate from the Green Army at least 5 divisions to put here on the Egyptian border. That way that border is fully manned and we can hopefully charge into Cairo. I was considering putting our armored car division there as well when it's done training, but I don't know where I want to allocate my precious baby to yet. I mean, it took us a long time to get that armored car division, guys. Like, way too long. Okay, this unit is done training. He's going to go back here. Let me make sure again that nothing funky happens and that this entire front is manned, which it is. Great. I cannot wait for that trap to spring. So getting back into the training, we have 2 more of our port defense units here, port defense regiments, which are the unicorns, just so I look at it and say, hey, that's a port defense guy. Once they are done, I've been debating on where exactly to put these guys. I know we're going to need them here on the west coast of Greece and up here in Montenegro where we conquered. I want those 2 ports covered. So that is probably where those 2 are going to go, because that is, at least as far as Italy is concerned, the most direct shot at our capital. Now, should the worst happen, obviously, and Italy lands somewhere else, which they're bound to do, they won't have a port, but they can also just keep progressing towards our capital, in which case I will take our homeland army and crush them in short order. Now, on the naval front, again, you have not missed a whole lot. We are building destroyers. We have our 2 wolf packs, just over capacity what I wanted them to be. We have 2 wolf packs with 11 subs each. And these are all the submarine 3s, which I've modified to be a little more stealthy. I would like to have these at least 15, so that if they get into some trouble, they can handle themselves. But the way it looks right now, that's probably not going to happen. Alright, so we do have our first armored cruiser, our very first capital ship built. And that's going to go into our training fleet. So it took us a long time from that shameful defeat, but the mighty Ottoman Empire, again, is on its way to being a naval contender. And I'm almost tempted, let me pause here for a moment, to just go ahead and try for this Dreadnought 3. I mean, we do have a little bit of Navy experience. We might be able to even soup it up more. No, not quite enough yet. And that's fine. I will save this naval experience for a ship that we can build more of to give it more of an impact. But guys, we have worked really hard. We have crushed 4 nations. Oh, yeah, 4 nations and sent Italy packing. We deserve something nice. So we are getting ourselves a Dreadnought. Yeah, and we can give up the 16 days production. And in the meantime, I am going to continue on building destroyers. And as a matter of fact, these destroyers need to be deployed to the training navy, which is the Reserve Fleet 4. So that's where you will deploy. And this right here, guys, this lone destroyer, which is actually level 4 now, that's great. That is the extent of our surface navy. Of course, our trained surface navy, I should say, because we do have other ships, but they are not being used just yet. So we do have some political power to spend here. there's really not a lot, guys, that I want to switch up. I was looking, no, not at that. At the, yes, the tank designer. Unfortunately, this is the only one that we have, is the generic Armor Company tank designer. Great name for a tank company. But yeah, that's all we're allowed there. No. And the same kind of goes for... Oh, no. With the Navy, it's just 2 choices. And as we go up, we get more. There's 4 choices for aircrafts, 3 for material. But yeah, a lot of this, guys, I do not want to change. So I guess what we could do is finally add the Chief of the Navy, our Decisive Battle Specialist, which increases capital ship attack and armor and screen ship attack and defense. May as well get them now, because I know I will forget later. And there are no decisions that we need to make at this point. I mean, there's just really not a lot going on here. We are still instituting press censorship, and that is because we were infiltrated, or probably being influenced by democratic forces abroad, which I don't know how they did that to us, because I did show you guys that influencing countries in this mods, it's no joke. It costs a lot. It's 5 political points per day, and I don't know any country that gets that with any bonus or any advisor whatsoever. So as that clock ticks down towards the war, we have some gaps to fill yet, guys. This Yemen Defense Force, it's weak. It's really weak. The only advantage that we have here is entrenchment and the fact that they're in mountain territory. This is mountain, correct? Yes, that's a mountain province. That's a mountain province. Now, they can get around us here, which is why we do need to add 1 more division. All right, here we go. So we got the gas mask, which, look at that. All infantry, motorized and mech, plus 25% defense. That is huge. Huge. Now, I think we've gone about as far as we can here, but another helpful commenter, watcher of the channel, person who views this, is he pointed out that we need to start making Marines so that we do not fall into the same trap that the Italians did. Because when I launch a naval invasion, I like it to stick. And while we don't have the manpower necessarily right now to create additional divisions, especially a good strength Marine division, we need to have the option available to us, particularly since we are looking at seizing Cyprus right off the bat. That is something that is very important to me. Again, I'm trying to eliminate pretty much launch pads for naval invasions, which we have plenty of here in the Mediterranean, but yeah, it's Crete and Cyprus are 2 of my biggest priorities. All right, and we are finally getting these divisions pumped out, which could not have come sooner. So we do have an infantry division ready, and as I was just saying, Yemen needs to be boosted big time. So I'm going to add that division there, and at least for now, that will prevent British passage through Yemen and up through our friends in Hejaz, because they are weak. They will just get bowled right over. They got nothing to stop them, at which point they can then flank our Egyptian invasion force and go right on up the way. That is not something that we can afford. So a lot of angles to cover here. All right, we have yet another military factory. Now, how are we doing? We are still just dragging on support equipment. So we have got to get that rectified. I'm going to put yet another factory into that for now, so that once we start getting towards the point where we're caught up, then I can redistribute those elsewhere and be a little more comfortable about it. Oh, it turns out we have 2 divisions that were completed at once. Excellent. All right, so we have here another coastal defense unit. So let's get these guys into position ASAP so they can start entrenching. And also, guys, I was thinking about this. Now, wait, do we still have divisions? No. Looking at the port defense, right, we got 3,000 infantry. We have engineer company, but this game, in this mod especially, artillery is king. Now, I would like to add support artillery to it, but I'm not going to commit to that yet, because that's going to really help with their defense, and especially against naval defense. They have to be able to fire artillery, because I don't want to spend all this equipment and manpower on these units just to have them fail. You know, that's not a good battle plan for anyone. So, oh wait, I forgot to. Okay, I'm going to assign this unit to the Coastal Defense Army, and that should not change his. Right, no, it should not. Okay, and yet another infantry division that we have ready to go. Now, where do we really want to thrust hard and fast, if you know what I mean? Like I said in the previous episode, I think I really, really want that Russian oil. And if there's any way we can get it, I'm going to do my best to make that happen. So, oh, okay, this unit here needs to be trained. So he's going into the training army. Yeah, guys, we still have like some units that I converted from cavalry that took an experience hit because of it that I've not yet trained up. I'm sure that they're hiding around somewhere. Russian fronts, no. Okay. And down here, this is what I was hoping would happen, and it's happening right now. The British are attempting to match our forces here, and they are. They've matched us 8 divisions to 8 divisions, but they do not have the infrastructure or the supplies to support these guys. So they're already taking attrition, and the war hasn't even started yet, which is really making me happy. I can't tell you how happy that makes me, because the British, I had a peek at, I started a quick game as the British just to have a look at them. I didn't actually really play, but they outclass us by so far, it is not even funny, particularly in the naval departments. But, you know, what I'm talking about here is like their production capacity. They are not missing this equipment at all, the stuff that they're losing in Kuwait. But just for my own personal satisfaction, I'm glad that they're losing it. So, all right, we do have this area kind of manned right now. And especially this province right here, because there does appear to be a factory in it. And yeah, there's definitely a factory in that. So I'm okay with where this is at. I would like to have a big invasion force here to push the British and their puppet Oman right back up out of here, but that's just not going to happen. I would rather at the beginning just be able to defend that, and that's fine. So engineering drawing, that's done. Air superiority mission efficiency. This is what I really wanted. We need every advantage in the air that we can get. And speaking of which, we now have 30 early fighters in reserve. And again, I will take advice on where you guys think, especially guys, any of you who have played this mod before, about where it would best serve us to have these airplanes. Because right now, again, we don't really have any airfields set up in places where we really need them. I do believe that... Okay, no, I didn't schedule any to build. Right now, we are building our fortifications finally. And as you can see, they're already going in. Right, so we have these 3 provinces with at least 1 level of entrenchment. That makes me happy. You guys have no idea how happy that makes me. But where I would like to have some air power, especially, is over here on the Russian front. And since we will be pushing up that way, hopefully, the most. Okay, we can deal with that in a minute. Yeah, I want to make sure we're staying on our focus here. So, I'm really tempted. You know what? No. We are going to go ahead and stick with the fighter focus. That has been what all of our other focuses and techs have been pushing us towards, is the fighter. And with this, we get 15% research bonus for the Halberstadt D2, which I believe might be the next airplane in line for us, the next fighter airplane. So we are going to continue to do that. And let me make sure that that's true before we really start doing that focus. It is. Yes. All right. So no sooner will we have a nice wing of the early fighter ones than we will have the fighter twos, or at least the 1915 fighters. That makes me happy. But back to what we were saying. The airfield. I would really like to have an airfield right here in Trabzon. That, you know what? I'm actually going to prioritize that a little bit more. Probably a lot more. Yeah, because I want that done now. Because I want to see what kind of range we're going to have with our fighters and our scout aircraft. Because we still do have 55 scout aircraft, which isn't a lot. But during this time period, that's, you know, nothing to sneeze at. Where else do we want air power? Where do we want our air power to be able to be had? Now, if I put them, while we're attacking Kuwait, if I put an airstrip here or in Al Hajara, I seriously doubt that any of the aircraft that we have right now would be able to reach that. So that's kind of, we're going to have to go without air power there. I would like to be able to have more air power for the Egypt campaign. Now, I'm pretty sure that they have an airport or airstrip somewhere in here that maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. But I do want to have our very own airstrip there, just to give the forces that attack from the east here that little bit of boost, because time is of the essence. Again, we are racing for Cairo, hoping to get there before the British can get up here and stop us at the Nile. I'm going to try to really race to the Nile before the British get there, and that will make our job a whole lot easier. If we take Cairo, I'm guessing that the Egyptian capital will move to Alexandria, and if it moves to Alexandria, you know, we have to get over the Nile again, but we can take that. And if we can't get over the Nile, then we attack from the west. Because there's a good chance that the British will rush all their troops up this way, at least by rail. Now, over here, they could go this way as well, but most of them are probably going to be focused on attacking up through here, trying to take our territory from us, which they will, which is fine. Which leaves any divisions posted over here kind of able to get away with murder, I think. Again, guys, this is all in my head, but I'm just trying to, you know, play with what I know about Hearts of Iron 4 AI and what I think they would do versus, you know, what they probably should do. So let's make sure that our Navy is coming along here. All right, we now have a trained Navy of 2 destroyers. Man, yeah, we're on fire here. We're just on fire. Oh, boy. Now, I want to make sure that we're getting our portsmans. I'm goofing around here. So you are going to go to the Coastal Defense Force. And then you are going to move here with a quickness. Now, the more I look at this, the more we kind of got to choose our poison here, guys. There are nothing but ports all around the formerly Greek-held territories. I mean, well, is that a dockyard? Yeah, that's not a naval yard. There are 1, 2, 3 more ports throughout southern Greece. Then there's Thessalonica. Then there's Constantinople, which will soon be renamed Istanbul, I believe in 1930? Is it 1930? I don't know. Somebody please correct me on that. I'm probably wrong. Which I don't think they have to invade from the north side, so they cannot do a naval invasion there. But that doesn't stop them from landing here if the AI gets frustrated enough. But where we really faced problems last time, you bastards, just get off of Ottoman territory. These guys are great reminders of what can happen when you don't guard your ports, especially in Asia Minor. I had to scramble. Absolutely scramble, because they landed at Izmir. They landed at Rhodes. And I believe this guy landed at Antalya. So they were just going up and down the coast, just picking off ports that were unguarded. Now, I am trying to rush these coastal defense units. In fact, let's get the next one's training. I can deploy these two right here and put them into our training army to get them ready. Opening of Panama Canal. After years of construction, the Panama Canal opened today, establishing a more direct connection from Atlantic to Pacific, which will no doubt be a boon to trade in the region, as well as make the area an important strategic location. American engineers have stunned the world with this amazing feat with the exceptions, of course, of the British and Germans, who both insist their canals are better. Well, good for you guys. All right, let's get you training. Come on, unicorns. Move it along. All right. So, we have another infantry division ready to go. And this guy was already assigned to the Russian front, so he's fine. He's going to stay there. Now, who else do we have? All right. Armored Car Division will be ready soon. Is there more? Okay, so this is what we currently have in the oven as far as divisions go. 2 infantry, 1 armored car, which I'm actually shocked we have the equipment for, and 2 coastal defense units. I really want to up the infantry divisions to 3 training at once, but unfortunately, again, we can only do so much. Now, as I think I will get I'm thinking at least 1 or 2 more armored car divisions out. At which point we are going to shift a lot of our production towards making the heavy artillery regiments. Seeing how we're doing here on production, we are slowly catching up. But you know what? Just to get it started, I mean, again, look at all the extra infantry equipment we have. We don't need to be producing more. Let's go ahead and bite the bullet. Oh, wait a minute. You see, I just realized that we should have been doing the heavy artillery 2. No matter. We will research the heavy artillery 2, but in the meantime, we will produce the heavy artillery 1. Because I want those portable heavy artillery regiments out and about. So let's get one of you training. And I'm really screwing myself on manpower here. I know I am, but for now, we will deploy in Constantinople. We are missing equipment production, yes. I am aware. I'm very aware of that. And we are going to do siege artillery. Now, I want to see... Okay. Yeah, how resource intensive is this? Okay, it takes coal, steel, and tungsten. We have coal, we're short steel, and we have no tungsten. Huh. What do we have in the way of factories? Yeah, we have 17 usable civilian factories, which to me is not enough. But okay, so that's what we're going to do. All of my gears have turned, and what they came up with is we will wait to produce the siege artillery until we get the siege artillery 2. Because I don't want to trade away that extra production that we have so little of as it is. So we are going to hang on to that. At this point, the heavy artillery battalions are a luxury, and as much as they would help with offense, particularly the breakthrough, we'll live. we can live without. We will make it. Oh, that's so disappointing, guys. I was right there. I swear I was going to do it, but yeah, we're just going to have to wait. I really didn't want to do that, but I mean, again, we are a product of our current circumstances. So, guys, I am out of time for this episode. If you notice the dates, it is 26 August 1914. We are on the cusp of World War I breaking out and changing the political and cultural landscape of Europe and most of the world forever. We, the mighty Ottoman Empire, are going to be the shapers of that future. Just you wait and watch. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, please consider subscribing. And also, please feel free to contribute any advice you have. I do read every single comment and try to get back to you guys. I will see you next time on the battlefield. Bye-bye.